revolution. Vocal revolution. Vocal revolution. Vocal revolution. Change the world with your voice.
So, welcome everybody. Welcome to Vocal Revolution, where we talk about how you change the world with the power of your voice, personally and collectively. And here in the UK at the moment, it is Happy New Year. It's the beginning of 2022. But wherever you're listening, whatever time you're listening, morning, evening, happy day, happy times to you. And thank you so much for tuning in. Got a wonderful episode for you today, which is going to be really full of juicy yellow enthusiasm and energy, because our guests today are Yellow Tuxedo, husband and wife duo and powerhouse, Emily and Alan Braithwaite, who are digital visibility specialists. And what does that mean? They're going to be telling us about what that means. And they've got tons and tons of experience of working both in their own businesses and for other brands and organizations. And they aim to help businesses grow their digital visibility and navigate all those complicated things like SEO, optimized content, social media in an accessible and jargon-free way. And I am really, really delighted to be part of their digital circus, which is one of their wonderful consultancy and services that they offer. They'll be telling us more about what that is. So welcome, 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 Alan and Emily.
Woo! Hello. Hey, well, do you know what, Kate? The thing is, every time, so basically your introduction was amazing, is what cutting to the point here. And I sit here and go, why don't we say it as well as that? You know, and I'm like, I'm going to write that down. That's now our introduction from now on. We're just going to edit that off the final podcast, if that's okay.
It is like this. Any elevator pitch you ever do for any like networking or any group you're in, like, what do I actually do?
What do we do? So we sit here and like, we just want to help people, like genuinely, not in a kind of patronizing way. We want to go, look, your business is amazing. Let's get it out to more people. And that is basically our motivation and driver. So when you get like the full version, like you do, you go, oh yeah, actually it's quite technical, isn't it, when we help, because we do all that SEO and everything else with it as well.
You do a whole range of wonderful things, and it's always much harder to write those elevator pitches for ourselves because we're inside our businesses, aren't we? So it's really nice. I always love it as well when I get introduced or talked about by other people, and I get their perspective, and also they're often much better at pulling out the things that I do, because we're all, especially in this country, uncomfortable with blowing our trumpets. But that's why the digital circus and the things you do, helping people blow their trumpets online in a way that feels good and authentic and not too, cheesy, is wonderful. So thank you so much for coming today.
Our pleasure. Thank you for asking and having us.
It's just brilliant. So tell us a little bit. I'd love to know your story about how you got into this and how you decided. How did you find that motivation for helping other businesses?
Yeah. So Alan and I have worked together as a husband and wife team for nearly 10 years.
Well, we've been saying a decade for a couple of years, so it's sometime around a decade, basically.
Not everyone can sustain that. The husband and wife team is a unique kind of partnership, I suppose. But we previously to working together had very different careers. We were both in kind of corporate roles. I worked helping to run large-scale events for the Forestry Commission. Alan worked in brand and training for Car Phone Warehouse and what was it, the Geek Squad?
Yeah, Geek Squad.
And some large things that happened. And then we both went down the path of redundancy and not working for those organizations anymore. And we decided, what do we do? Do we go back into to go and find other jobs, or do we decide to actually change it up and work together, which is where we went. We started a business together, completely opposite to everything we'd ever learned, ever been working in putting up tents.
Well, we wanted back to basics. So we've both been in scouting for years, haven't we? And we've been putting tents up for other people for years. Why don't we get paid for putting tents up? And that was kind of how this whole tent thing came about. Yeah.
And it was great. We absolutely loved it. It was getting back out in the outdoors. It was speaking to brand new faces every single week. It was working together. It was just quality of life was so much better for us. But what we didn't realize so quickly is that the business grew quite a pace, and it was down to the fact that we had fallen back into the trap of marketing our business with our existing skill sets from our other jobs. And we decided we didn't want to be going to wedding fairs every single weekend, put up tents, standing in the rain, hoping people would talk to us. We didn't want to be doing the flyering and everything you used to do in old school marketing. So we decided to put ourselves online. We just did some video, and we worked on our website and our core fundamentals of our business online, and we just moved everything digital. And quite quickly, that grew us from being a cottage industry, very small business, to a larger scale. We were a national brand. We'd been on the BBC, we'd been on ITV, we'd had some really good press opportunities, and it just grew really, really quickly.
I think there's a key point on those kind of PR bits there. They weren't things we went out and paid to make happen. They came to us as opportunities because we'd grown our online presence and embraced digital visibility.
Yeah. We tried that again in a second business a few years later with a brand called The Outside Bride, which was fundamentally a wedding blog, an outdoor wedding blog. And we grew that within 18 months with exactly the same principles of what we did with Bailey Bell Tents. And it wasn't until a couple of years later that our accountant friend actually said, guys, you do realise that people don't know how you're doing what you're doing and what to be doing with their businesses. And it was at that moment we had our little light bulb going, no, they don't. And it's businesses like yourselves and all the people in the digital circus. They are brilliant at what you do. You know your business inside out. You know how to sing. You know how to work with groups. You know how to be a plumber. You know how to sell. You know all of that, but you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes the trap of online is there's so much out there and there's so much noise out there and so much social media. You should be doing this advice and this. It's an absolute blinking minefield, isn't it? And we wanted to take that, strip it right the way back, and basically be a consultancy there to help small businesses really understand that it doesn't have to be scary. It's about being logical with your steps, finding your voice, and being able to shout about it in a way that's really authentic to you, but without that worry and stress of, but it's online, I don't know that, that's not my bag.
Well, so yeah, and it is. And at the same time, you've got someone over here teaching you about Facebook, someone over here teaching you about SEO, someone over here teaching you about websites, some LinkedIn, Instagram, and you've got all these different resources all telling you something slightly different, or not, well, slightly different platforms, their own way of delivering it. And we spent quite a bit of time kind of working out what our model was. And it was once again a bit of our own light bulb moment. We went, no, these things have to coexist to truly achieve, a digital visibility that you can grow in a way that feels right to you. And that's about marketing and sales not feeling icky and actually understanding how they had to come together. So when we work with our clients, they come together, the website, SEO, blogging, video, social media, it's all under one umbrella because it has to coexist to truly create this seamless omni-channel presence when you grow. So that's what we did. We brought it all together, and now we show businesses how to do that.
Fantastic. That is just so exciting. Thank you for sharing your journey. And that's just really, really rich. I always love I love having people on the podcast because I love finding out those new things about that I didn't quite know about your backstory and how you came into doing what you, like the fact that your accountant just said that thing at that moment. Those light bulb moments are just amazing in our lives and how we kind of go off on another path. So if you were to define for us and anyone listening, what is digital visibility and what is having a digital voice? So for anyone that maybe is just at the beginning of thinking about that, how would you define that?
I would say, so we all have our own voice and we are all our own creatives in our own ways, but it's about giving yourself a platform for that voice to be heard. And what we've seen in the past with our clients as well is that you don't need that to be defined. You know what that is to yourself. And I'm not anyone, I can't tell you what that is because I'm not you, but it's allowing yourself to have people understand and hear that voice and know it's done in a logical way, because one of the worst feelings in the world is doing so much work and really polishing and understanding what your voice is and no one hearing it from over there because you haven't put it out in a way that's optimized, been one of those buzz phrases there, but a way that people know how to find you. So digital visibility is about thinking logically about all the little nooks and crannies and crevices that you can be found across the internet. That's not just on Instagram or not just on Google My Business, where that is, but understanding that every single layer, anywhere that someone can find you, is make sure that they do find you in the right way. It's about allowing yourself to be seen, allowing people to find you when they're ready to find you, being a biggest thing, because again, otherwise it's very one direction. We're pushing things out. Actually, people need that time to invest and to bond and to understand who you are, and then they'll find you when they're ready to. But putting those layers out to allow people to see you and hear your voice properly without that overwhelm of work and pushing it all the time.
Yeah, there's always this fear blocker, challenge, whatever word you want to call it. When you start business, you think, I'll tell you what, let's take it back to a different example, right? surely at some point the majority of us have all been employed. Okay, we've all been employed. We've decided to apply for an internal job. So we've applied for an internal job, we've had an interview with the recruiting manager, and we've got that job. On day one, when you're turning up to work, you go, right, this is it. I need to change. I need to do my best. So no. They recruited who you were yesterday, not who you think you need to become today. And that's exactly what this is like. I started a business. I now need to be a businessman. My name is Bob, I wear a suit. No. You're who you were yesterday, and that's who you are every day. And you have to remember that. We talk very much about, is that even a sentence? We talk a lot about sharing your adventure and being social. And that's come back to, I touched on marketing and sales being icky a moment ago. And that's really it. Share your adventure, share who you are, because that's the bit that got you recruited into that role, or that's the bit that's given you the confidence to start your own business. Share that adventure and be social. Get out there, chat to people. Yeah, it's challenging. It can be challenging for individuals, but fundamentally, that's what you need to do. Share your adventure and be social, and be who you are.
And being proud to talk about it as well, and putting yourself out.
Don't I nearly sung Heather Small then? What have you done today? This is Katie's a singing genius. I'm going to sing Heather Small by the end of this
Singing
podcast.
is welcome. Singing is welcome. You know you can hear. It's all good.
What have you done today to make you feel proud? Blown the speakers. Sorry, everyone.
This is on the internet forever now.
Yeah, but I'm being who I am. This is what I'm like downstairs with the kids in the kitchen. We sing. Once upon a time, side story, Katie, Emily banned me from singing in the car years ago, and I've never let her forget it. She's like, I'm like, what are you, the fun police? She said, no, you're not allowed to
police. It's my eardrums are in a very small car. I think we were in a smart car at the time.
We were in a smart car.
It was a 2-seater car, and Alan's got very large lungs, and it was operatic style right in my ear. I was like, can we just so that he never lets me forget. I stopped him from singing.
And it does take practice. Like I understand that not everyone could come on your podcast and decide to sing a line from Heather Small Proud, right? Yeah. I understand that. But I do genuinely believe everybody could do that or can build up to that, and that has to just come back to that practice. The same way you would practice with an Excel spreadsheet, or you'd practice with something else in your world. Why would you not practice with that confidence as well? It's all, we can change who we are. And I don't like saying that, because you should be proud to be who you are. Does that make, I don't know how to say that in the
give yourself the skills to be able to do it.
Yeah, you can learn these new things.
But yeah, and what we're talking about is learning things and learning practice to bring out more of you. Like you say, it's not trying to make yourself somebody that you're not, like, as you say, putting on a suit and being somebody else. No, it's actually about more of you coming out. So you, Alan, has just exploded through Heather Small into the podcast. Fantastic. We welcome that. And, that's what, for me, my job in helping people with voice is all about. It's not about me saying, I know how to do it, you're going to do what I tell you. It's more about me offering strategies, exercises, fun songs, things to do that help us feel comfortable to let our voice out, which is unique. As you say, everyone is unique. And I think for people coming into the digital world, it can appear like there's all these protocols or things that we don't know, and we're going to have to fit ourselves into these boxes or do things we don't like. But actually, when you realize, that's what I love about your work, is that you're encouraging people. No, it's actually about being yourself, bringing your business, your adventure, your creativity, whatever that is, to the digital world, and using those tools, skilling up in those, practicing them just like you would, as you say, any other skill, so that then you can just really be you and hang out online and be comfortable sharing about what you do. And it does take practice, that's for sure, because it, for all these things, just like singing takes practice, it takes practice, and that's okay as well.
Overnight.
No, it's not overnight. And we've seen that in our decade journey and previously in things we still have conversations around, are we comfortable putting that on the internet? And we go, ooh, yeah. And we have a thought process on this. Like,
we get arrested for it.
Well, yeah, we get arrested for it, point one. But point two is, we talk a lot about authenticity, right? We talk about authenticity, we talk about being yourself, we talk about Sorry,
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
We talk about authenticity, being yourself, and sharing your adventure. But really, there's a sliding scale, because for every person who's happy to share their credit card status, their mental health status, and everything else. There are a huge amount of people who go, I don't want to talk about that online. I'm private, and that's okay. But what you may need to do is adjust your sliding scale a little bit. What are you comfortable talking about? Are you comfortable talking about why you're wearing yellow, or why you wear whatever color you choose, or how you've got to that decision? So you're still sharing your adventure and being authentic, but you're not breaking into that personal life, you know, that you may not wish to talk. We do share some of our children on through what we do at Yellow Tuxedo, because we're a family business, but there are plenty of businesses who don't mention their children or cover over their faces and things like that. That's all okay. But what you do need to do, you do need to give a little bit more than what you probably are currently comfortable or used to. And once again, that's that practice. That's that becoming, you know, confident. That was halfway between comfortable and confident.
I like that. That's a great phrase. Comfortable, confident. Yeah, fantastic. It's a new word. We just made a new word. Hooray, fantastic. And talking of yellow, why yellow? Because you mentioned you might want to be yellow online. What was it about yellow that makes
Side
yellow?
story. My favorite color is mint green. Mint green and red.
Well, if you want the full story as quickly as possible, because it's always quite long. So I don't believe in favorites, but once upon a time, I think the world's too big to narrow down one thing, you know, whatever that says about me. But once upon a time, I decided I wanted a favorite color, and I chose yellow because it's vibrant, it's happy, and all these other things. And obviously, as I've got older, people have told me that actually I have a yellow personality and all these other things. So when I was young, I said to a friend, oh, I'm never getting married, but if I do, I'm going to wear a yellow suit. Fast forward, met Emily, got married, same friend goes, so you're wearing a yellow suit to your wedding then? And I'm like, oh,
it was the only wedding that I've ever attended that was all about the groom and nothing about the bride. No.
Not true.
So Adam Moore, we had two suits. He had a nice navy one
for the serious part, because I didn't want to make a mockery of our special day.
He had a yellow suit for the wedding, which annoyingly still fits him today. But when you bring that forward 10 years or so, it's a great metaphor for the fact that it's all about standing out in the crowd. And if you want to wear a yellow suit, you go and wear a yellow suit. That's absolutely fine. But again, the world will not break because you've decided to break protocol and not go and wear a morning suit and do this and that. You can do whatever you want and people will still smile. They're still going to love you. And just having that confidence, to do whatever you blink you want.
I wasn't born this confident. It took practice, in all fairness. I was quite shy when I was younger. But I recognise I needed to. I like being like this, but I had to allow it to come out to achieve the things I've wanted to achieve. But the standing out from the crowd, as Emily said, that's a really important thing. I will be quiet a minute, let you do some talking. And standing out from the crowd is a really important thing, because it's not just about, as Emily said, wearing yellow and go, wow, check us out. It is actually also a practical thing. And when you grow your digital visibility, bringing it back to that, and your online presence, all of a sudden you do stand out from the crowd. You don't have one stray top hit on Google, you dominate page one on Google. You don't just have one little video you reference every now and then on YouTube. You have a whopping great big YouTube channel that has everything in. You know, you have all these things, and it starts to, you literally stand out from the crowd for people you don't even know about yet. And that's a really important part of the standing out from the crowd message.
Absolutely. And you mentioned as well there about how we can feel shy about standing out, because we are conditioned heavily not to stand out. We're conditioned to be tribal creatures, and because our survival at one point would have actually depended on that. We had to stay in the tribe, and if you stood out too much, you might get extradited, and then that could really be the end of you, basically. So we have a lot of conditioning that says, no, don't stick your head above the parapet. And you mentioned also feeling shy and going on that journey, which I can also relate to. I think a lot of artists and creative people particularly are actually quite shy, introverted people who like doing things at home and making things, and then they have to go on this crazy journey to actually take that thing they've made at home out into the world. So in terms of some of the issues that can come up when we're going through the process of becoming more visible, finding a voice online, what are some of the things that crop up, and imposter syndrome, things like that, and how can we work through those?
it's one of the biggest things is the imposter syndrome, and the fact that people don't think people want to hear from them, or they don't know how to. So it comes into two parts. Number one is always the technical side of it. I don't know how to, and I don't want to mess it up, therefore I'm not going to touch it with a barge pole. Again, that's stuff that can be taught. That's easily learned. We can help you work through that. But it's the camera comment. It's the fact that they're going to have to put their face on camera, and it's the fact that they're going to have to be vulnerable a little bit and maybe stuff up their words. I stuff up my words daily on. We do a lot of live stream stuff, and we're comfortable doing live stream stuff. But I fluster my words all the time. It's like I've got 3 kids at home, 4 kids including Alan, and my
likewise
my head's going round everywhere. Sometimes I'm not going to get it quite right, but people are quite forgiving of that, so it's okay. And ultimately what I'm saying is more important than how polished and shiny it all is. It's the fact that, and Alan uses the analogy all the time, is that thinking about the fact that if you're a shop owner in a physical shop, regardless of if you're introverted or extroverted, if you're introverted and someone came into your shop, a customer came in through that door, you would say, hello, how can I help you? Let's have a chat, and can I help you with your purchase? So why don't we do that in the online space? Why are we so afraid to speak to people? They're only humans at the other end of the phone line or internet, whatever that is to you. They're still there. They still want to talk to you. They still, maybe if you're in a shop or whatever, they still want to buy from you. They still want to chat to you. They still want to join your group. They still want to find out about you. So it's like we spend a lot of the time, yes, we do a lot of the technical stuff with our clients, but so much of it is that empowerment and going, yes, you can do it. And yes, even if you just go live once and press that 5 minutes and just have a go, try it, because as you said earlier, Katie, it's that practice, it's that muscle memory, it's the fear of going live or recording or doing a podcast for that first time, and then you realize it's not that bad, and then you'll get better again, and then that confidence comes because you're not worried about what to expect. You know what to expect. And really the worst thing that can happen if you record a bad video is that it's not your best work. It's not going to, again, you're not going to get arrested for it. You're not going to go, oh my God, everyone hates me now. They're just going to go, that wasn't your best work. Okay, and move on, because people don't think the way we think.
It's all perception, isn't it? It's all one's perception.
We think we are the center of everybody doing it, and everyone's going to watch our videos.
Sorry, are we not?
No, we're not. We can't be that arrogant to think that. And actually, people, if they don't like what they want to you're putting out there, or they don't want to listen, or they don't want to read it, they have a thumb and they can scroll on past for their day, and they probably won't even notice. But we have that inside panic attack of going, what if they don't do it? They're not going to care. They really don't. So just carry on doing what you're doing.
And when you do get trolled, it's actually a good thing, because that means you've got big enough that someone can be bothered to troll you. But you just have to understand that those trolls are probably some poor, sad, insignificant, and I don't mean this in a horrible way, even though fundamentally it's coming across. There's someone who probably needs more love and support than they do need shouting at, fundamentally. And I just tapping on a bit, Emily, there, like, there's a big thing about perception and choice here. So, using your example of the creative who's stayed at home because they're introverted and they've created something, but then they've chosen to decide to try and sell what they've created. So, okay, with that choice has to come some other choices. I am going to sell this. How am I going to sell this? I need to embrace that. I may need to do things that I am not comfortable doing. But fundamentally, our perception is everyone's going to think I'm a donut, when the reality is we're also wrapped up in our own little world. As Emily said, you can choose to keep scrolling, but it's fine. It's fine. We're all fundamentally nice people who want to support other people. And you have to kind of remember that that is what the majority of people are, not what the media are telling us, which is all like axe murderers and everything else. But actually, my mum's okay. Your mum and dad are okay. My mum and dad and stepmom are okay. Most of the people in the world are okay people.
That's right. And we have to have that confidence. And what I've learned is I used to have this thing where I'd always project my own self-judgment onto one person in the audience. I'd be convinced that this person, I could, if it was intimate enough to see them, I'd be convinced this person hates it. They absolutely hate it because they're sitting like this, going like that. And actually, that was often the person that came up to me afterwards and said, I loved that. So once I...
and so once it's just their resting bitch face. They can't help it.
Or their concentrating face, or their listening face, or maybe they've got stuff going on in their lives. It's none of my business, actually, why they've got that face, but I used to. And then I've realized, especially from teaching choirs, where people are often pulling all sorts of faces that they don't realize they're pulling because they're concentrating and they're thinking about things. I've learned not to take that personally, and that actually it's really about me, it's my perception, and I shouldn't project that onto other people. My own self-judgment, my own, as you say, being wrapped up in, oh, it's all about me, that projecting that onto our audience isn't helpful. And for me, what helps actually more is saying, actually, I'm in service, and this is something that I'm offering you. And if I put the spotlight more on the audience and what I can offer and what I can share, and being generous and having fun, and as you say, having adventure with somebody, that's a much more outgoing place than the self-obsessed, oh, you know, is my hair right, have I got, you know, whatever spot on my chin or whatever. This is, you know, that's all self-obsessed, isn't it, really, that stuff?
It is. Well, funny enough, Katie, on that, we had an example very similar to this yesterday in the Digital Circus, not just a plug, genuinely. And there was a lady who was trying to promote what she was doing, and the advice was perhaps you could contact some people and try and sell to them. I'm making it sound way more cold calling and salesy than it is, because it was, you know, she had a great product, why not offer it about? And she's like, oh, I'm not very good at that. You know, fine, you don't have the confidence to do those cold call phone calls. I understand that, even though it was a great product. And so it was suggested, why doesn't she make those phone calls from a position of fact finding instead, rather than sales? Why don't you contact them and go, I'm trying to find the best person to talk to, please, could you help? Or I'm trying to find anyone who may, and she went, oh yeah, I can do that. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And we've got this huge thing at the moment, Emily and I keep talking about, where if you change the name of something, it becomes a completely different energy transfer. You know, and it's fundamentally the same thing. That person I was talking to you about yesterday, fundamentally, it's exactly the same thing. But because she changed it slightly, it was okay. You know, she was fine. And that so many times, like, sales is this big buzzword, and it's like, can't sell. No, you can't sell, but you can talk about what you do, who you are, and how you are, and let other people decide if they want to buy. Oh, what? I've just got to do that. Yeah, that's basically what selling is. Oh, right, really? Yes, it is. You know, so.
Yes, it's finding those reframes, because a lot of the time we have been conditioned, and also we've all had and we're all bombarded with really poor examples and really invasive and manipulative examples of sales and marketing. And I realized through a friend of mine who wrote a book called The 7 Graces of Marketing, Lynn Serafin. She wrote this amazing book, and she outlined the 7 deadly sins and the 7 graces of marketing. And because she unpackaged all the things that can be really icky about marketing and the way we are bombarded with stuff that we don't always want, I realized that I was not doing marketing because of that stuff, but realizing that actually it didn't have to be like that, and unpackaging those strategies and going, right, I don't have to sell like that. Selling for me can be graceful. I can really be clear about what I'm not doing. And then I can really, really enjoy the beauty of actually being graceful with marketing, which is really about, I feel, making invitations. Hey, do you want to come play? Do you want to come to this concert? Do you want to go on an adventure? Would this help you? Would this product help you? I've got some information here. Would it be useful for you? And then people can choose, as you say, they can keep scrolling, or they can go, the person that goes, yes, that is something I do want to learn about, digital visibility. Boom, that's exactly what I was looking for at the beginning of 2022. So that's what I'm going to click on. So it's that freedom, isn't it?
Yeah, and sorry, I was just gonna, and when these people, when you invite them along on your adventure and they choose to be involved in it, it's actually okay. And I know this could feel alien. It's okay if they don't buy from you, because what they will become is a huge advocate on your adventure. And you may find you need something from them as well as them needing something from you. So it shouldn't be, oh no, they've not bought, move them for one side. This is about sharing your adventure and taking as many people as possible along on your adventure. Because fundamentally, it should be about making people happy, because why not? And then everything else will just naturally fall into place after that. You've got to have routes to market and help people need to understand how they can buy from you and all these other things. It's not as simple as going, hi, I'm having fun, let's go. Well, it is in kind of very high level. But yeah, as you're setting up a business, those other bits do need to be in place as well. But yeah, have fun, have an adventure, take people on it with you. So.
And also building that sense that you just touched on, which actually it's about building a community. And many of us interact in different communities in our offline life, like whether we're part of groups, whether we're part of an extended family or whatever, we all have different communities, whether it's just our street or our neighbors. And actually seeing the online world like that, I think has helped me as well. And that's what I've loved about the Digital Circus, is that I feel part of an online community of people that I know when I've taken a risk, and people appreciate that risk because they know what it takes to put the stuff out, and there's someone that will go, yeah, ping, I like that, well done, Katie, you know, and that community, building that community of people. And then, as you say, yes, they may buy, they may not, that's sometimes irrelevant. It's actually having the community around your work that then is so enriching in so many sorts of ways. Sometimes you make a friend, sometimes you make someone you can do an exchange with, not necessarily sell something to, but you're in exchange, or you decide you want to learn from them. You know, there's all sorts of amazing possibilities, and I've made extraordinary connections on social media that just would not have been possible, especially
it's a wonderful thing. And Adam does a really good presentation called Building Human Connection in a Digital World. And we took a stance obviously we went into online when COVID first happened back in 2020, but we actually took the decision last year, even when we did unlock, to be a digital first business. And we very rarely now go out and do public one-to-one stuff and that kind of stuff outside of our office. And that was a conscious choice to do so, because I do genuinely think that you can make those connections digitally and have just as rich an experience with those people. And I genuinely think some of our best friends in business are people we've never even met. We've never even met them. And I will honestly...
It's true. I'm not laughing at you.
Certainly with the Digital Circus. I mean, we were very great. We had a good Digital Circus member, Laurie, on our doorstep yesterday for the first. It was like, oh, you're here. It was so weird to see someone in real life. But the way we approach social media, as well as our digital communities, everything else we do, but we don't treat it like just putting content out for the sake of it. We treat it like a networking platform, and we use it to have conversation, and we find people to chat to, and we say hello to people, and we send little voice messages to people, because we want to find those people who are our tribe, or whatever word you want to insert there. They are out there to be found. And the richness of our community online, it's arguably more rich than our one offline as well. It's remarkable, really, and I absolutely adore it, and wouldn't have it any other way.
What did we say about Instagram? I can't remember if it was you or me, actually, and who we were talking to. They're like treating Instagram as your Rolodex. Yeah, you know, so when you go networking, you meet people, you get a business card and you put it in a Rolodex, like 80s analogy for
old school.
Old school. And I was chatting, it was me and Christelle, wasn't it? Christelle Verladen on our YouTube channel, if anyone's interested. And we were talking about, why would you not treat Instagram and your followers on Instagram, followers being Instagram's word, as your Rolodex? Why would you not chat and engage and get to know them? Because you've got more opportunity to find out about these people than you do the people in your Rolodex. So you go, hi, Jeff, remember I met you 10 years ago. I don't know why I default to this 80s NatWest Bank business style, for my example. You know, I've got a Rolodex, I've got a business card for someone I met. And that's fine. Like, we live in a world where nothing is wrong as long as it's ethically okay. But if you were to treat your social followers in the same way, it starts to become exponential, doesn't it?
But not only that, you take your business or your group or whatever it is that you're doing in life, you take that from being a geographic specific group to being you're international. And again, we now have clients in America. We have clients who are, again, we've never met before. We have clients who are now collaborating together, who are now finding each other. That would never have happened had we just bothered to stay in our little village that we live in right now and not gone outside within 5 miles. So it's an international opportunity there. You're talking to people, you're finding new learnings, you're finding out new ways of doing things, you're learning from each other, you're growing together, purely because you're taking that step into digital. That is really super exciting, and it's changing daily, and there's new things coming out all the time that are just there to enhance, not to scare, not to go, oh my god, there's another thing I should be doing, but for you to cherry pick all the wonderful things that you could be doing to grow in whatever direction you choose to do. So yeah, it's a really exciting space.
No, it is. And you know, new revenue streams open themselves, new opportunities present themselves. People, it's a simple math statistical thing, isn't it? Let's say you own a corner shop, right? Because I'm planning this talk in my head at the moment, and this is kind of the premise. You own a corner shop. Mrs. Miggins's Corner Cake Shop is the title of my talk. The talk will be, and literally this is in planning phase, is Mrs. Miggins, the corner cake shop owner, even she owns a global brand, something catchy like that, right? But the point is, yes, you make cakes, and understand that not everyone's going to want this, right? Get that from the outset. But when you make cakes and you own a corner shop, you're trying to basically sell, let's say you want 100 clients a year for the sake of this, easy maths, and you've got 1,000 people who live around you. You're basically trying to sell to 10% of the people around you. If you open that up online, because you're a global brand, the second you put anything online, you're a global brand, you open that up online, your statistics change, your percentage, you're trying to find changes, it massively decreases, because you're entering a larger pool, but also your new revenue streams and new opportunities massively increase. And that's the excitement from digital. I understand the overwhelm, understand the fear, understand the practical blockers, okay? But that's what we help people with. So I get that, but the excitement from digital is so I'm excited now telling you how exciting it is, okay? Because it just that's why we do what this, because we love it. But it's so exciting that yes, get on board is the kind of
I love it. I love it. And I love excitement. And we love, particularly on the podcast, I love celebrating success stories. And, especially when people have had that breakthrough, they've claimed their voice in some way, whether it's online, offline, wherever, and they've broken through. So could you give us some examples? I know you're talking about generally the many, many benefits of being digitally visible, but do you have some favorite stories of people that you've seen or clients you've had that have broken through and done something amazing?
The first person that comes to mind isn't one of our clients actually, but someone I admire from afar.
But we told them everything.
But it's back to Alan's analogy there of Mrs. Smiggin's cake shop and being global. And there is, I need to try and find I'll give you the link at some point. It's a sweetie shop in Australia, in Sydney, in the shopping malls there, and they make the little sucky sweets. And they have a whole process of rolling out the candy sugar, making long thin ones and cutting it into pieces. They last year during the first lockdown decided that they were going to live stream every single time they made space sweets. They weren't really talking to the camera all the time. They had a camera in the top of their corner of their shop, and they were just making sweets all day, every day. It was the most fascinating viewing. It's like, especially if you're a bit OCD, when you're it's like process. Oh my goodness, it was fascinating. They're now being stocked in the US and China. They've got they now have a worldwide shipping thing. Wow. So it's amazing, just from thinking about, okay, we haven't got the ability to do what we were doing previously because of circumstances. What can we do differently? Let's embrace what we've already got right now. We do have the internet. Yes, we are a localized business right now, but we could be a worldwide brand, and this is how we're going to do it. So they fascinate me. And it's bugging me that I can't think of their name off the top of my head because it just came into me then. But with Digital Circus.
Well, I say I've got an example from a Digital Circus member.
Can I just?
Oh, sorry, I thought we were positive.
Digital Circus was started because of that mentality, because of lockdown, the first lockdown. We started that in June 2020 for that exact reason, to give people the understanding that if the world stands still and your business can't run the way you usually run it, what else can you do instead? So that's why we started Digital Circus. But Alan, what's your example?
Well, funnily enough, it was Laurie from yesterday. Yeah. And I know Laurie won't mind us talking about this, but when we first met Laurie, her business was still relatively new. It was very much in person. She was trying to find clinics around her where she could do in person. And obviously lockdown came on and she's like, I need to embrace digital. She joined the Digital Circus, one of our first members. And through chatting and her attending the sessions, she started a podcast, she started a YouTube channel, understood how to make it fit in her workflow. Laurie's a bit like us. She came with quite a lot of confidence to start with. So, just kind of putting all the pieces in the jigsaw in, but she didn't know how to do any of the technical stuff. So we helped her through that technical aspect, podcast, YouTube, etc. Macro content is what we call all that. Optimize macro content because it works for you and people can find it. That's why we call it that. And so all of a sudden she's gone from trying to find clients around the clinic, around the corner from where she lives, to clients coming in from New Zealand. She's changed what she does. She's not changed what she's changed how she delivers what she does. She's not changed what she does, how she delivers it. And now she's working with clients from all over the place. I'm going to sneeze. I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to.
Go for it.
Bless you.
Bless you.
And
oh my goodness.
Right.
All right.
So I ripped her headphones up.
Oh,
Apologies, everyone.
No problem.
So she's changed how she delivers it, and now she's delivering to different people from around the world without leaving home. But now she's come back round. She's going, well, I've got this base in place, but actually I want to start looking back to in person again at the clinic around the corner because I love in person. So yeah, she's managed to create that base during lockdown that's helping keeping her business going, but it's now allowing her to do what she actually wants to do, which is go back to that in-person part.
And just one more that I would love to shout out is Laura Robinson, who is a brand designer and from Vows Design. And she, again, is a long-standing member of ours, and she's incredible, and she's an incredible force with her branding. But the biggest introvert you'll ever come across, and she just couldn't put her face to camera. She didn't want to hear her voice. She was really, really nervous. And a year and a half later, we invited her to do a session for the Digital Circus to actually stand up in front of everyone and deliver a presentation. She was absolutely killer. So much so that she's now doing Instagram lives by herself, picking up the phone and talking. She's got this newfound confidence of talking to people and shout about how amazing she is. And the session was great. The session was incredible. Throughout the first half hour, you could see her face going, what do I do? I'm going to have a bit of a panic attack. But by the end of it, the entire audience was so enamored by her and how she was graceful with it. And she was really,
well, it was a classic authenticity moment, wasn't it? So.
But she got to that point a year later of, I don't want to speak. I don't want to put my face on camera. I am now delivering an entire session in front of people I don't really know that well. And I'm happy to talk about what I know because I know everything really. I've learned this is my thing. I'm good at what I do. I'm going to share it as well.
That's a big one. We've touched on imposter syndrome, and we all presume that other people know what we know. They don't, right? And they may know bits of it, they know some of it, but literally no one can know what you know because it's in your head. And there'll be, obviously your clients will know less, and there might be other people who know more, but they don't know. So, choose to try and have that confidence in what you know. I mean, because I mean, Katie, we can't do what you do, and you can probably do some of what we do easily. But so it's just knowing that. And once again, that comes back to choice. Put it out there, and people can choose to become customers or not. You're not forcing anyone to buy from you. You're allowing them to make a choice.
Yeah, and it is making powerful choices. And what then, if you were going to give us your top tips, like for people making those choices to get those amazing results that you've just talked about, because I know some of the people you've talked about, and I think actually I'm just going to throw one in already, which is obviously join the Digital Circus, because masterminds or places where you feel safe to develop your voice or your presence, and that's what people do around my work. They come into a choir to start feeling confident around singing, and I think when Laura's an amazing example that she built herself up to the point where she could present to a soft audience, a supportive audience. It's just a Digital Circus. So it's very important that that would be one of my things and what we talked about in terms of build a supportive community around you first, and then take bigger risks and go out to bigger communities and the communities outside your comfort zone. But what would your tips be? So
the first thing is to start. It's a simple one, but it's to start. And I think the blocker that so many people will face will be that, but it's not perfect yet. I want to wait until I've got to X point. And let's face it, we will never be at that point. Perfect doesn't exist. So if you wait until that thing that's never going to exist, you're never going to get going and press that button or whatever that project looks like to you. So just start. You can refine it, and people will love you for the fact that you just bothered to take that effort. 2 is really be clear to yourself about what you are and where you want to go with it and what you want to achieve with it. And that's not about we're in January right now, it's not about setting resolutions, but that's setting clear goals for yourself. And it could be little mini micro ones. It doesn't really matter how big that goal is. Even if it's just, I'm going to bother to do X, Y, Z, that's absolutely fine. But put it down and say it out loud and say, I'm going to get this done. Our one last year was to grow our YouTube channel. We wanted to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of December, which we did, woo! But it did take effort. You can't just say it and it will happen. We had to think about, okay, so what are the steps we need to do? We need to grow our community. We need to create some actual content to put on us. As if someone was to visit our YouTube channel, there's something for them to see, and give them a chance to respond to you, talking back to them, going and sharing it out. So there's a process there, but you have to understand what you want to achieve in the first place and to get that goal done. And then, absolutely, it's giving yourself that confidence to if we use going live again as a great example, soft audiences, yes, go and find a small community. The likes of things like Instagram now have built that into their software. So if you are panicked about pressing that live button, if it's not really your bag, you can now go through that process to a hidden audience. So you could just do it to one person. You can set those boundaries so that you don't have to do it to every man, this dog out there. You can just do it to a very small pool of people. So again, it's taking those smallest baby steps to go, right, I need to understand how to go live on Instagram. And there's different buttons I could press, and I could do that. And what if I get that wrong? If I've got an audience, work that out.
Well, one can be taught and the other one can be practiced.
Yeah, and build it on that. So it's just like taking baby steps and allowing yourself the chance to fail a little bit. And we again, if you look at our YouTube channel as another example,
we've got some car crash stuff.
There's some car crashes. we will never delete them, because I think it's really important as well that it documents where we started and where we've come and what we've done to get there. And it's a great learning story for our future clients as well, because they can see that we're all the same. Our biggest thing for Yellow Tuxedo, and if you look at any of our content, is that we're not that polished. We're not all bells and whistles. We don't have fancy transitions everywhere. We don't do those things where we change our outfits all the time and all those fancy things out there. Our biggest thing for us is we want our clients to recognize we are all the same, and therefore you can achieve great things with just the basics, really.
Well, we had this conversation yesterday. We reckoned you could start to grow your online presence. This is a kind of a financial thing with just a website. This was what we reckoned was the best kind of bare minimum. Okay.
Yeah.
A website and a Canva Pro subscription. We reckon that's all you need. Everything else is free. Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's a cost implication, that's it. You don't need anything else. Yeah, the websites can be £1,000 or more or bigger or whatever you need, but it can also be 15 quid a month or something. Yeah. So it's get started. I'm a big believer in that compound. I've been watching some people on YouTube. I like it, and listening to them talk. And basically the founder and CEO of Gymshark's my currently favorite person to listen to. He's like 28, right? And I mean that in my most patronizing 40-something way. But oh my God, I'm learning from him. Like, unbelievable. The passion is teaching me, his kind of knowledge, his know-how, how he's gone around solving problems. It is unbelievable. And I meant patronizing, the kind of, yeah. Sorry, okay. Sorry. All right. But one of the things he keeps drawing it back to was his analogy of going to the gym to achieve things, that compound effect. I know that if I do this one thing a day, that after the course of 52 weeks or 365 days, that will compound to achieve this. So if confidence is an issue and imposter syndrome is an issue, why not do one picture today, one voice note to a friend tomorrow, a soft audience, a voice note in Instagram DM or WhatsApp or whatever you use. And the next day might be, I'm going to do another picture. You might go, I'm doing pictures for the first month, voice notes for the second month to family, or on top. All of a sudden, by the end of the year, you're live streaming and you don't care, but you have to start, as Emily said, and you have to set those tiny goals that can come together to achieve something fantastic.
And the last thing I would say as well, and it comes back to communities and people you're surrounding yourselves with. We always say that you're the sum of your 5 friends and that kind of stuff, but really allow yourself to be in completely different groups as well. What I love about the Digital Circus, for example, is the fact that we're not just one industry. We're not just musicians. We're not just plumbers. We are an eclectic mix of so many different genres of people and different niches and whatever buzzword it is. I hate the word niche. I hate the word niche. Take it out. Yeah.
Are we banning that? Is that on the Yellow Tuxedo ban list?
There are so many of us, but we all have the same struggles and we all have the same sort of the routes to market and what we're trying to achieve there. We all go through those exact same feelings, but having some people in retail, some people in creative, some people who are working in nuts and bolts and whatever that is, it's great to get different perspectives, because sometimes you're so surrounded by everyone who's doing exactly the same thing as you in the same industry, it can cloud you a little bit. And actually to get some fresh perspectives, some fresh eyes is great. And that's why we love what we do with our groups, because there are different, I didn't think of that. I would never have used that word. Never thought of that phrase there. And it's just getting a different viewpoint.
Do you know what, one of my favorite things that we are allowed to embrace in 2022 that we weren't allowed to embrace 20 years ago? So 20 years ago, when you were in business and you were talking about USPs, your USP, it wasn't enough that you or I were, or us, we weren't enough to be the USP. fast forward to today, we are the USP, right? That you are your USP. If you're listening, you are your USP. Okay, that is basically it. We are the unique selling point for nowadays. We are what make our business different to the person stood next to us who does the same thing. And really remember that you are the best thing in your business, and everyone needs to see you.
Absolutely. I think there's been a huge move, hasn't there? Especially on things like TikTok, where actually the less refined is better. Everyone just wants people being themselves. Yeah, you could be doing something like really amazing, like an amazing dance routine or something, but you're basically at home with your sofa behind you or something. So it's that kind of authenticity, especially because of the pandemic. Everyone had to do stuff from at home, so no one could pretend that their cat wasn't going to be coming in, and their dog and their child, etc., etc. And that, I think, has broken down a whole lot of pretension, really, like having to pretend, like you say, this is my business self and I pretend that I don't have anything else going on in my life, but actually we've all got full lives. We've all got sofas and cats and things that can come in at funny, strange moments, and actually that's all part of it, and being able to welcome it. And there's so much more. I think it's so healthy to be able to be whole people, actually, and say, this is me. And when you're authentically that, people can relate to that, because everyone, as you say, we've all got things at home going on and things, so it just makes you much more relatable. And I love that thing that you say, what is it? Trust, know, and that
like
journey,
and trust.
know, like, and trust journey, that you're building that with people just as you would with a friend. You're getting to know people, you're giving them opportunities to get to know you, because if they just see your products, they haven't got any idea of your backstory. And it's like that wonderful lady in the digital service who makes beautiful socks that are dedicated to endangered species.
Lucy,
she's incredible. And
that backstory that she's included about the fact that her mum and dad are involved, and to begin with they had everything in cupboards and wardrobes, and now they're getting bigger, and they record all of everything, don't they? And it's just so lovely, and it's got such a beautiful ethical story behind it, and that all warms your heart, doesn't it? And think,
it really does.
10% of all of her socks go to save the animal printed on the socks. So she's got orangutans and lemurs and stuff. It's a lovely business.
It is brilliant. And as you say, she could go, I sell socks. So here's 1,000 pictures of socks that I'm going to put out in the next month, right? Great, your socks are great. Or share her adventure, be social, plus have a fantastic kind of, I'm going to say, spin in a nice way on what you do. And all of a sudden it makes a massive difference. So
it's so lovely. And she links it in if there's animal of the month or whatever, or the World Wildlife Trust are doing something, and it's all linked in with other things in the world. And that's the other thing about the digital world, is that you're never short of inspiration, because there's always something going on that's topical that you can align yourself with. That doesn't mean you have to jump on any bandwagons, but stuff that feels authentic, that actually, this thing has just happened currently, and that's just really in tune with what I do, so I can share about that and be part of that bigger thing, whether it's an issue, whether it's a cause, or whatever that you want to align yourself with. So that's very, very powerful. Well, just thank you so much. I know we've talked and talked and talked. It's just been so amazing, but I'd love to just give people an opportunity to know how to find you, to know exactly what the digital circus is, and how they might, if they want to join, how they get in touch with you about that, and also maybe your other services and your website, all that kind of stuff. Maybe you could just give us a quick overview of that, so
I'll do it a bit quicker than you. You can find us anywhere across the internet. Quite simply, our handle is Yellow Tuxedo everywhere: YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, everywhere. So feel free to do that. Our website is yellowtuxedo.co.uk. The digital circus is our membership as part of Yellow Tuxedo. So we do one-to-one services and consultancy if you're looking for something more bespoke. But our digital circus is our self-learning community, and it's just incredible. I love it so much.
It's full of fab people like Katie Rose.
But it's a space really designed for everything we talked about today, for that education piece. Number one, if you don't know how to do something, give yourself the education and find out how to do it. And we give you all of the tools there to go and learn for yourself. And if you don't know how to do it, ask a question. It's a great forum there to just, I'm really struggling on this. Emily, Alan, can you show us how to do this? And we will spend time with you within that forum there to go to work through that, the intricacies of how to do something. It's £20 a month or £200 for the year. And within that, we get 5 hours worth of support from us a month, including 2 learnings, one based on SEO, one based on social media and everything, accountability sessions, and drop-in clinics as well. So if you'd like to find out more about that, you can visit Yellow Tuxedo's website /the Digital Circus, and all the information's on that page.
Yeah, or just go to thedigitalcircus.co.uk, because it has its own domain name.
There you go.
Yes.
Do that.
What I would say, like, let's not underestimate this power of knowledge towards the soft skills. So yes, imposter syndrome and confidence and all these things are challenges for us all to overcome, but actually learning hard skills, how to actually go live, can help, for argument's sake, can help so much towards the soft skills, where all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, it was only because I didn't really know how to do it and I didn't want to look stupid doing it that made me not do it. So that's why we are very big on that practical application of how to do these things. So that's why we have such a big emphasis on the knowledge and the learning side of it, don't we?
Yes, and that's what you were saying about those little incremental steps. An author I really love is James Clear, who wrote an amazing book called Atomic Habits, and he talks about, it's like a really great book to overhaul if you want to overhaul your habits and know how to set new habits. But he gave this amazing example of I think it was the English cycling team, and they were not winning basically. And they got a new manager, and the manager came in and just looked at everything and made tiny increases on everything. So everything from what was their saddles, what was the pillows they slept on when they were on tour, every little tiny detail of their goings on, he just increased by a small amount. And they started just completely winning. And so it just shows that actually you don't have to have a massive revolution. We often think, oh no, I've got to go online, everything's got to change. No, it's just those tiny steps, like you were saying, the baby steps and the how to, that you give people that practical how to. And it's always very, you always give options for, if you don't feel comfortable to do this yet, then try this. And that it can be graded with your own comfort zone and your own boundaries and your own authenticity around what's good for you in your business, so that then you upskill to the point where you really are like winning online and feeling great.
You're doing it before you realize, aren't you? Really, that's the point, where you've achieved it and doing it, and you go, oh right, you have to remind yourself that you've got there. So
amazing. It was just so inspiring. Thank you. It's just been such an amazing journey for me personally to be part of the digital circus, to get the know-how, and also to have that supportive community online, because especially when we were all online, like everything was online, and it was a lonely time for lots of us, wasn't it? It was lonely, and we were able to create that solidarity. So thank you for creating it.
Well, hold on, Katie, I'm so sorry. I appreciate you've just wrapped up, but I think we've forgotten one of the most exciting things that we did in lockdown, which was your Zoom streamed album launch. So for those of you listening, Katie launched her album Flame, invited us along, and in person, and it was in London, and we live in Hampshire, and we've got young children. She said, well, I'm going to put it on Zoom. Do you want to watch it? And we said yes. But the key message here is embracing that digital and it opening up new opportunity, because how many other people would decide to live stream their album launch and they go, no, you need to come and be in the zone with the smoke. I've got this kind of image of being in a club in the like 90s again, and about feeling the music and the sweat. Well, yeah, I get that still exists, no one's taken that away, but there are people who would rather sit at home and watch it, and we're one of them. And you did that, Katie, and that we haven't forgotten it. We played your album in one of our sessions the other day, and because we went through that experience and we've not forgotten it. And so I think you can be one of the examples as well for just being awesome, if that's okay.
Thank you. Now I'm blushing. So yeah, that's lovely. But I think being part of Digital Circus was definitely something that helped me get the confidence to do that, and having and I just want to emphasize to anyone listening that I am no live stream expert, and it really was quite it was not a high-tech stream, let's say. It was just me and my laptop and what we could do with the kit that we had in the church, and but it was enough to allow the people who wanted to participate and people who couldn't participate, for example, like my nephew, who is 8 and lives a long way away. So it enabled him to write funny messages in the chat to everybody. But all those lovely, beautiful things that when we embrace technology, all these beautiful things can happen, and people that you really want to be part of your world can still participate. And in that way, it's more inclusive and accessible. And, you know, for me, it's a huge learning curve, and I'm still just kind of climbing a big mountain with it. But thank you for your encouragement, because it's because of being part of things like the Digital Circus that have really helped me and given me, you know, there's moments when we all doubt ourselves, you know, especially, you know, I've been making more videos, and there's days when I definitely go, oh, I have no idea if this is any good, should I put it out? And then go in the Digital Circus and say, someone says, oh, I loved that you did that thing, and can you do it again? And you think, oh, it did work, somebody did like it, and then it encourages you to keep going. And none of us are an island, we all need that support. So thank you so much for creating that. And your yellow enthusiasm, as I'm sure everyone has experienced today, is completely contagious and infectious and extremely generous. You know, the content that you give for just £20 a month is extraordinary. And really, and what you give online as well, in terms of, you know, please do go and check out all the wonderful yellow videos about how to, there's lots of how to do this and that, and isn't there loads and loads of resources that you've got online that can help people.
Yellow Tuxedo on YouTube, feel free to subscribe. Thank you.
And you also do a really, you usually do a nice intro session, don't you? I think I came to that first when I was just checking out, is this for me?
Yeah, we do
that in a coffee morning.
We do regular digital visibility skills sessions and coffee mornings, and all of those. They're complimentary. I think the word I'm going to use. I'm not going to say free, but they're free complimentary events, and they're on our website. But you go up to the top and say events at the top, and whatever's coming up, we normally do 1 or 2 months ahead, are in there. So if it's, just stay tuned to that part, or our newsletter. If you go to and all over our website, it will say get the newsletter. But basically, we put all of this out in our newsletter every other week as well. So whatever works best for you, which is such a key part of it all. So.
That's right, and thank you so much for that generosity, and I think that's again another wonderful thing that you model, that you can offer in different ways, visual, audio, written, in all the forms that people like to absorb content. You can make a beautiful yellow, vibrant, contagious, wonderful invitations that just get people excited and feeling, yeah, I can go and do a video, why the hell not?
Of course you can.
Of course you can do a podcast and have your friends on it. Wow.
Yeah, I do know we need to finish this, but yeah, we don't do a podcast. We've done one, and we're like, why are we not doing a yellow tuck? It's coming, isn't it? It's coming. Whether it'll be this year or early next year, it's definitely coming. So
oh, well, we look forward to that too. Fantastic. But you're showing so much content, so thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you again for coming on today. Thank you to all our listeners. Thank you wherever you're listening today. Hope you're feeling really yellow and energized and ready to take on the digital world now, and to share your voice in whatever small way you can, and know that whatever way you can will grow and can grow it to being as big as you want it to be. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you again, Emily and Alan Braithwaite from Yellow Tuxedo.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.